catch up with it. Sheena's just joining us as well.
Yeah, I've had no end of trouble getting onto the meeting. Sorry.
That's all right. No worries, Sheena.
It's hence why I'm now on my phone.
Okay. Do you want to just give us a brief introduction, Sheena, as to who you are and where you're from?
I'm Sheena. I'm from south of Edinburgh, and this is a Club 1. I'm chair of B/Slack Lifesaving Club.
Nice to meet you.
Hey.
And Sharon?
I'm linked to Droylsden Lifesaving Club and also Tameside Disabled Swimming Club.
Right. So, as we said, using social media, Tara and Lydia will be running the session. So I'm going to hand over to them. They will no doubt share a screen and take you forward. Over to you, Tara and Lydia.
Okay. So I'm just gonna share my screen so you don't actually have to look at me the whole time. Okay, can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so people all over the world are using social media to share info and to make connections, which is primarily what most of you are trying to do in your clubs and organisations. There are lots of benefits to using social media. I'm just going to go through a few of them. So first of all, when we say raise the club's profile, we're inherently talking about getting you more attention. Social media in general, other than the odd advertising that you could buy, is free, so it's easy advertising for you, and it's a great way for you to create a brand identity, telling people who you are and what you stand for. The more traffic to your website that you can drive, the more opportunities you'll then have to gain customers, grow business, and basically, in essence, sell your product to new people. In total, that means you're going to be attracting new members, which is great. Social media also, though, has the benefit of keeping you in touch with like your existing members, so you can learn more about the people who are actually part of your club. That old adage of it's always easier to keep customers than gain new ones is so right. You know, and it's also cheaper for many of you. So, you know, with so many things that are probably going on in your clubs, does everyone actually even know kind of what is going on? Do they know about everything that you're doing? You can keep them up to date with latest news, but you can also obviously raise awareness of like events and campaigns that are happening at the time. You know, for instance, you know, Drowning Prevention Week, which is happening next week. I'm not going to bore you with like hundreds of stats, don't worry. But there's some useful stats that might be worth kind of keeping in mind. So on average, I think there's about 67 million people in the UK. So with 45 million being active social media users, you've got a big opportunity of people to be kind of, you know, drawing in. And if they're spending over an hour on social media every day, this is, and you know, all these people, with all this time on their hands, that you could be telling people about like the great things that your club is doing. And if you look at it, lots of people are following so many different social media accounts. So on average, it says 6.9. So for many of you, I don't know how many people or what platforms you're on at the moment, but you know, if you are just, for instance, on Facebook, it might be worth considering, you know, broadening out to kind of looking at other avenues that can work for you. At the same time, I'd probably say if you don't have any social media, I'd probably start with perfecting like 1 or 2 accounts before kind of like going crazy with, you know, 6 or 7 that it's going to be difficult to keep up with. It's better to kind of have 1 or 2 really good, consistent accounts that people can log on and always see that there's something new happening. Facebook kind of has the reputation of being for like, I don't know what most people are saying, it's for like older people these days, but actually interestingly the biggest demographic for them is 24 to 35-year-olds. So it is still being used really frequently, so it's a really good, if you're not already on Facebook or you're not using it that much, it's definitely one to kind of start looking into more. And then finally, although word of mouth is still like the biggest way for people to get like recommendations, as you can see, more and more people are using social media to research, look up recommendations. So you need to look at kind of like when they're looking you up on your social media, what is someone new seeing and what message is it that you think they're getting from your pages, or what message is it that you want them to be getting from your pages. So making it work for you. I probably, to start with, it's all about building your audience, because the bigger audience you have, the more likely you are to get out there to people. So forging connections with local companies, local businesses, and that is a really good, easy way to kind of, you know, follow me, I'll follow you. And, you know, they can be great then in future if you wanted to do kind of like any business or need them for any kind of support. It's really good to have a good community network in your local area. And as much as you are a business, you do need to show your personality. What is it I always think of it, what is it you're looking for when you're scrolling through the pages? What would make you want to stop and look and interact more with a club? So as much as you need to be kind of like posting results or team sheets or events and that, it's nice to mix it up with occasional kind of like fun and engaging posts, such as like polls, quizzes, fun facts, mix up with like photos, GIFs, good old emojis to liven up a post. As I experiment, there's on each of the channels, there's different functions that you can use to kind of experiment. There's no harm in kind of trying different things. After a while, you'll start to get used to kind of what works for like your club in particular. There's no kind of hard and set rule, but think about things that you can try, things such as Facebook Live, Insta stories. Social media is always changing, so there's no harm in kind of like trying different things. And when I say consistency, the main thing is just to make sure that you're always consistently posting. I don't mean kind of, you know, it doesn't have to be every day, but as long as when someone is looking on your page, you know, when you go onto like a Facebook page, you know, the last time they post is 2019, you know, you don't really look any further. You kind of think, well, they're not using it anymore. So if they see that there's always fresh stuff, then people will keep coming back to your page. Using graphics and videos are a really good way to mix up your posting. Photos, videos on your phone are really good. There's no need to kind of have any kind of like high-tech equipment. They work just as well. There's lots of free resources that you can use to kind of like jazz up your posting. If you wanted to add like little captions, or so you can use things like such as Canva. They actually have like there is a free Canva that you can use, and they also have kind of some stock photos which are free for you to use. There's other resources such as Pixabay that have like free photos that you can use, and they're copyright free. And if you ever need any help, obviously me and Lydia are always here. If you have something coming up and need some help or advice with, you can always email us. If you need help with tailoring anything, just drop us an email. Trends are also a really good way to kind of like boost your engagement. It's just an easy win. So things like events that are coming up, so like a excellent example would be like the Commonwealth Games that are coming up shortly. It's easy to kind of tap into those trends and relate that post to something on your Facebook page or your Instagram page. And awareness days are also really good to kind of, you've already got like a community that are already invested in that awareness day or week, and you can use the hashtags to kind of get on with them. So, you know, for instance, Mental Health Week, you know, doing a post about how exercise is a really great way for kind of like to help your mental health. You know, they're kind of like easy kind of like little wins, but it's a good way to also keep with your existing customers, but also reach a new audience. I am going to pass over to Lydia now, who's going to break down a little bit more about kind of each of the individual platforms, what they can do to help you, and just some little tidbits on kind of like things that you should be thinking about using.
Thank you. As Tara said before we started the meeting, I'm going to have to do my best Chris Whitty. Next slide, please.
Yes.
Anyway, we will start with Facebook. So my top tip for Facebook is to remember it as the film title. It is the original social network. When you're a business, it's really easy to, as Tara mentioned, get a bit caught up on the serious updates that you have to get out there, but it's so important for engagement to actually inject a bit of fun and personality as well, not only in terms of connecting with audiences, but also in terms of keeping on top of the Facebook algorithm, which is more and more difficult to get around without paying. Obviously, Facebook are also a business and they want people to pay for advertising, so they're making it really difficult for businesses to keep their posts being seen. You may have noticed that as you've gone on anyway. So yeah, it's keep your posts engaging and consistent and regular. Ideally on Facebook, I would be suggesting posting at least 2 or 3 times a week. Other ways that you can keep your posts engaging and increase your reach is to try and remember to tag people within your posts whenever you can. It just means that they will be notified that they have been tagged, and then they could share it, or at the very least, I'm sure they'll like and comment. So in the UK, 51 million users still use Facebook. As Tara mentioned, it is often seen as the older generation now that Instagram and TikTok and so forth have come along, but it is still huge, and it's definitely, I think, got the best resources for businesses. You can, when you're setting up your page, you can choose the type of business. You can do your adverts where you can specify targeting. It's really incredible how tight you can target things down to try and reach the people that you want to reach, whether that's through an advert or just a boosted post. The other benefit to Facebook is that you can still include links within your post. Hooray! So whether you have your own website or you want to link to some content on the main RLSS UK site, it's easy to include a link without having to direct people elsewhere. And just to emphasize again, always include an image or video within your post. And if you don't have anything that you think fits the bill, then we're happy to help. Okay, next slide, please, Tara. So Instagram is the little sister of Facebook. It is a younger demographic, and the younger demographic use it in a similar way to Facebook, and that it's often used as a search tool to find local businesses to them. So it's definitely worth being there if you've got the resource to keep it up. So you may have heard the Turner phrase, doing it for the gram. It just puts out there that it is very image focused. So it's more important on Instagram to make sure that your photography or video content is of a decent quality. It doesn't need to be, you can still use your smartphone, but it's just make sure that it's editable, edited well, and shareable, really. So on Instagram, make sure you always use hashtags so that your post can be easily found by those that are searching. It's easy to search for trending hashtags on Instagram by using the search box at the top. And then there's a tab that is for trends. So you can pop in what your post is about within that search box, and it will bring up the top trending hashtags. So use the highest ones that are the most relevant to the post. It's also a really good networking tool. People are very engaged on Instagram. They'll often reply in comments. They will often share things to their stories. They will often send a DM. The one thing that you can't do on Instagram, which is sometimes a little bit annoying, is add a link within the caption. That's why so many people go with the line link in bio, and then they update the link within their bio to reflect what their latest post has been. Another way of doing it, if you don't want to keep changing it, is to create a link tree. There are free link tree accounts available, and they're really easy to set up. So what you would do is just set up an account, and what it gives you basically is a navigation menu with several different links on it. And then you just put that link within your bio. The other great thing that Instagram has is add fundraiser functionality. So when you're posting onto your main grid, in the same place where you'd add locations, tag people, add your captions, there's a little button that says add fundraiser. If you click that, it will bring up all the registered charities on Instagram, of which RLSS UK is one. You can select that, and people can use that to actually donate via Instagram to RLSS UK. So that's a really great little bit of functionality for when you are doing some fundraising. You wouldn't want to add it to every single post, but if you have a fundraising event going on and the post is related to that, then that's really helpful. There are lots of ways to engage on Instagram. So there's your grid posts, but you can also add stories which last for 24 hours, and they're a bit more of a light-hearted way of communicating. There's reels, which are short videos, and Instagram TV, which are longer videos. Thank you, Tara. So Twitter. Twitter is more for quick updates. It's also a great way of keeping on track of trends and news, but as I'm sure everyone will have heard recently within the news, it has recently been purchased by Elon Musk. So there are a few question marks as to the way that Twitter is going to go. What I would say on that is, if you currently have a Twitter account, definitely try and keep up with using it. If you don't already have one, I would recommend not worrying about it for the moment. So yeah, if you are currently on Twitter though, it's one of the best places to keep on track of trends and news. As soon as you log into the app, it will give you a list of trending topics, and you can also scan across to see different types of stories with that too. In order to get yourself seen within those, make sure you're using the hashtags in the same way that you have done on Instagram. It's probably the most popular medium for feedback and inquiries. So it's essential that if you are on Twitter, you are able to reply to people quickly, because that's where they're likely to get in touch with you. There are often in local areas Twitter hours, they're called. So so in Worcestershire, where I'm based, there is a weekly, I think it's actually bi-weekly Twitter hour, which are, say, on a Wednesday lunchtime, and that invites local businesses to join in and start a conversation with each other and to local residents. So it's worth looking up whether your locality has one, and try and join in with one of those if you can, see how you get on. On Twitter, you should have absolute no fear to ask for retweets. People are a lot more willing to share your messages than on other social networks. So I would always ask, be cheeky, say please RT, retweet, and hopefully you will see some people doing so. And in the same way as Facebook, make sure you find connections and mention them within your tweets, so that they get notified that you've put a new post up. At least that's Twitter covered, I think. And then we've just done a quick slide on YouTube. YouTube is mainly now used as a hosting platform for video content that then you can share elsewhere. So, but it's still worth thinking about people finding your content through YouTube if you're using it. So if you are uploading videos to YouTube, try and think about popular search terms when you're naming your video, and also add a transcript, because that's great for obviously accessibility, but also that is great at getting tapped into the search bar a bit more. There is an option when you upload a video that you can tick for YouTube to auto-generate a transcript for you. So that can be massively time saving. What I will say on that is make sure you read it through. They sometimes get things wrong. Can be scary. So just read it through before you actually publish it. But it's a good little tool. When you're creating videos to go on YouTube, phone video quality is completely fine, but remember to record in landscape. Even though people, when using social media on their phones, do tend to keep their phone in portrait mode, videos are still landscape in every social network. So make sure you try and record in that means if possible. If you need to edit your videos, there's lots of free software available. We briefly mentioned Canva earlier, which is great for creating graphics. You can upload videos into Canva too, and you can crop them down. You can add a little caption to the front of it or a title to the start really easily. So it's worth having a play on those. There's also Wave and the built-in Microsoft options, which you've probably all got on your PCs. But yeah, I think most of you will probably be using YouTube just for uploading content and then embedding the videos onto your website or sharing on other social media. So, but it's still worth just bearing those few points in mind in case anyone is looking for life-saving videos on YouTube, which I'm sure they are. So I just wanted to finish my little section with a few quick wins for you to take home. Just some little takeaways that you can hopefully have a go at that might just improve your social media a little bit for now. So top tip is to have a go on Canva if you've never used it before. It is really easy. There is free accounts available, and Tara and I are happy to help whenever you need it. Whether you just want help on actually using Canva or you would like us to create you a little graphic for anything, please do just get in touch with us and we'll be happy to help. If you are on both Facebook and Instagram already, connect your pages within your settings so that when you post a story on Instagram, it will show on both. It just saves you a little bit of time in the day, which is always nice. Third point is to add alt text whenever you're prompted. So alt text is on Instagram especially to help with accessibility for those that have vision issues, but also alt text is essential for appearing better in searches, so it's worth it all round. So on Instagram, it comes up with alt text when you're actually posting a grid post. So it's really easy to do as you're doing it. You haven't got to go back and do it later. Always add your club location into posts. And if you're not in your club location and you're posting Instagram from home, just make sure that you change the location to where your club is at. Again, that will help for people searching for life-saving clubs in the area. If you are aware that you need to be keeping up your social media posts but are struggling for some inspiration on what to do, check out what's trending on Twitter. Have a look at Google Trends, which I always get lost in. It's just too fascinating. And also have a look on websites that talk about days of the year, funny days of the year. There may be something that comes up that you can connect with, or your audience can connect with, that just injects a bit of fun and humour into your posts. And then my final tip is just to keep captions brief always, and to not be afraid of using emojis just because you're a business. People see emojis and think friendly, and they just generally make people more likely to read your updates. So just go for it. And I think that is me.
So just a final bit, just to go over kind of like other kind of like considerations and concerns that people might have. Scheduling posts and how often to post. It's difficult to kind of tell you like how many times you should be posting. I think the main thing is to be consistently posting. Scheduling posts are a great way to, if you know you've got a busy week ahead, you might be able to just schedule some generic posts but then at least you've always got kind of content coming up. There's places like Hootsuite that you can use to actually like schedule your posts, and Facebook does have the option of allowing you to schedule your posts as well. And the other thing you can do is also just resharing other posts. So, you know, posts from the RLSS, from other kind of like local organisations and things like that. Just so there's always kind of something kind of new and fresh coming up on your feed. Invariably, no matter how lovely and brilliant your business is, you're always going to encounter the occasional negative comments. I think the best thing to do with those is don't ignore them, but you can turn like negatives into a real positive by, you know, showing that you're taking their concern on board. Maybe not carry on the conversation over social media, but just giving them like a, you know, oh, we've looked at your comment, we'd like to discuss this further with you, and then maybe direct them, I've sent you kind of like a private message, or one of our managers will get in contact with you, or a member of staff will get in contact with you about it. So then you're not only appeasing the person who might be upset, but other people that are looking on your post. It shows that like you are concerned and you do take any criticism on board and will do something about it, and people will only see that as kind of like a positive. Always be careful with the images that you use. I've mentioned you can have stock images from places like Pixabay and Canva, just to kind of ensure that they are like free images. Be careful when you're Googling something, because there's nothing worse than like someone contacting you saying you're not, you know, you can get sued obviously for not using the right picture, or you know, at a minimum you'll just have to take the post down. So it's just easier to either use like free pictures that are available, or even better, just start building up a stock of photos for yourself. So when you've got events, have a think about not only that event or that particular day that you might be taking the photos, but are there other kind of scenarios that you might be able to take photos of at the same time, so you can keep them as like a back collection. The RLSS also have a load of photos as well, so if you ever need help with anything like that, you can again contact myself or Lydia, just to if you need particular photos, we can always help you with that as well. So just give us just email us.
And the last thing to consider is consent for photos. We had a question ahead of the session regarding that. So usually verbal consent is absolutely fine if you're taking a photo of somebody, to just say, you know, can I take this for my social media? Are you happy for me to use this for marketing? And if people verbally say yes, that's fine. If you are running an event or something, and you're going to be taking photos where there's lots of people in a setting, you don't need to worry too much about GDPR, because if you're part of a group and your face is kind of seen in the background, that is not classed as personal data. So you don't need to worry about it from that stance. But what would be good, what is recommended, is if you just put some posters up around the event or at registration, just advising people that you know, welcome to our event. Photographs will be taken and used for marketing purposes. If you don't wish to be pictured, please let a member of our team know, and that should cover you. Obviously, when there are children involved, that's another kettle of fish, and we do have a company safeguarding policy and some consent forms. So if anyone needs that, if anyone doesn't have that on record and would like us to send that, then please just ask and we can do so.
Okay, so if you're still all alive after that,
Thanks everyone.
there's our emails if you need to contact us for anything. Like I said, we're one of us is always kind of around during the week, so we're always available to kind of reply to any questions or kind of like ideas that you want to, like, if you need to bounce off us or need us to help with providing any like marketing stuff, just send us an email.
Would it
Yeah,
be
it's great to meet you all.
send
I hope
this-
that was okay. Sorry, Nick.
I was going to say, would it be possible to send us this presentation? Because I've been scribbling, but I've not caught everything.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
you.
sure.
I also had a comment on the Canva. As non-profit groups, we're actually allowed, if you apply, the full paid version for free, and then you can create 10 accounts on that. So that's really good. You can whole package, which has got so much wealth of functionality.
And it's a really easy kind of package to use. It's pretty kind of self-explanatory, and it's got some really good ways to kind of like, you know, help you make posts and jazz them up a little bit.
It also has video content as well, which I don't think we mentioned. So there's loads of stock images in there, but there's also loads of stock videos in there. So if you want, for example, make a splash, the distance challenge that we're doing, if you wanted a video of somebody diving into a pool and to just take part in make a splash over the top, that's totally doable on Canva and really easy. So yeah, that is definitely worth everyone having a look at. I hope that was okay for everyone. Has anyone got any questions?
I have a quick question, actually.
Go for it.
Just because obviously, as I know you slightly mentioned it in your slideshow, but obviously because I'm over the RLSS Ireland branch's Instagram,
yeah,
I'm afraid, like, yes, I would use emojis, but I'm afraid of it looking unprofessional because it's a bigger name, if you get me. Yeah, than just a club.
I would go for it. We use emojis in our posts on the UK Instagram. You know, you will I would just say exercise common sense. Just use friendly emojis of smiley faces and thumbs up and raising hands and those
Perfect.
ones.
Cool.
It's particularly good if you've got like a long text. It kind of just breaks it up almost sometimes. So it makes people kind of like want to read it more. So you don't have to go crazy with them, but you know, 1, 2 is,
don't put 10 in a row or something, but a couple is good.
Thank you.
Can I ask something, please? You mentioned that that there's the society has a lot of photos. Is it possible for those to be put somewhere in like a folder somewhere, a repository that we can access? Because I find I do this in an evening or a weekend, and I've got a short window of opportunity. You know,
and it's when the office aren't working. Yeah.
And you're not working.
Yeah.
And I can't, then I've missed that opportunity all the time. That's how I find it.
That's a great idea. If that doesn't already exist, then definitely I think that should exist, and we'll make it happen.
Thank you. And it's particularly around sort of campaign. I mean, I know that some of the campaign stuff, but is there? But it's some of the perhaps more generic photos, that we can use on websites and things like that.
Definitely, yeah.
For example, there was a photography session last week or the week before last. I think that was more an aqua park, so probably not quite so relevant, but photos from things like that we have going on. I can't see why that would be a problem. I think that sounds good.
Yeah, and you say they may not be relevant, but perhaps for some of the branches,
Yeah,
they are more,
Yeah.
because the branches are,
and
you know,
we will never
the
know
branch
what everyone has going on, and only you'll know what's relevant. So yeah, if there's a place where
Yes.
everything can be and you can dig around to find what you need, then that sounds good.
that would be really helpful.
Nice. Anything else?
I have a slight query in terms of Facebook, because a lot of clubs have their Facebook page which they use as a information page for the
Yeah.
members, about, you know, they'll put on there that the session tonight has been cancelled because the pool's closed, those sort of things. Would you encourage, which is a closed page, would you encourage clubs to set up a sort of open page, open group, open, so that, for example, their members can share,
Yeah.
because again, the RLSS membership Facebook group, you can't share the information that's on there, whereas
Just going to say that.
On the page,
Yeah.
I think so, because otherwise they're not they haven't got a means of advertising for new members.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would recommend, if it's a closed page, to create. So you mean they have a group?
Yeah,
Like a group. Yeah. So also I would recommend being active on the business page as well.
It's a great way to kind of keep up with the community that you've got. If you've got your members and they've already got their own kind of like section, it is a good idea. Yeah.
We've actually dropped our Facebook group now, which was for members, and we use WhatsApp now, and we've just got the business Facebook page, which public can see it and members can see it and share things.
That's a good idea, having a WhatsApp group.
Any more questions?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say that's exactly what we do. What Nick just says, we've got internal WhatsApp groups, and then the general stuff, publicising the club's events, goes on the main Facebook page.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Sounds good setup.
Okay.
Florence, you mentioned the membership one. Is there any way that those posts can be made shareable, or is that because of the type of group that it is? Because it's very frustrating. There's stuff that gets published there, but you cannot share it out to the branch or your club pages.
Yeah. No,
and then
frustrating. Yeah.
It creates work for us because you just simply can't reshare.
I think, I mean, a lot of the stuff, some of the stuff that gets posted on there will, from the RLSS side of things, will be posted as RLSS on the RLSS page, which you can share it from. But yes, I've found that there's quite often stuff that you think, oh, I'll share that. Oh no, I can't share that. And I have sort of copied it and pasted it from time to time and that sort of thing. So
unfortunately, I can't see a way around that, because apart from sharing it from our page, because if it has to be a closed group, doesn't it? So it would be,
it's because of the type of group that it is.
Yeah.
Because people have to be a member to join the group. It has to remain a closed group. But yeah, in being a closed group,
so what Facebook's done anyway, most groups are going private anyway, because the public group's getting so much spam these days. It's just dreadful. There's more spam than actual messages on public groups now.
So yeah, slightly annoying. I understand that. But...
Is it possible that if things are going on the membership group, they are 100% going on an open group that we can share from?
If I post anything on the membership group, it's always on my page, on my Facebook page as well. But I guess, Lydia, Tara, we could endeavour to make sure that anything that is appropriate, it needs is good. I'm sure anything is suitable for a wider audience is. Obviously, the problem comes with when people post on it, when members of that group post on it, there's no guarantee that that they will post it elsewhere, I guess.
If there's anything that you see within a group that you can't share and you would like it to be somewhere that you can share, maybe let us know what it is, and we can see if it's deemed as appropriate to go on the RLSS UK page.
I have in the past and have not always had a positive response.
Okay. It won't always be a yes, I don't think.
No, but I mean, I'm not trying to share anything that isn't sensible to share. I'm actually trying to share it onto a regional page.
Yeah,
because it's information.
I mean, I would imagine, I don't think anybody who posted anything on that page would object to you copying and pasting it and saying this has been posted by such and such on the members page. It may be of interest, to those on this page. You could, I guess, message them as well, just prior to doing that and saying, do you mind if I do this? I know it's a bit of a faff, but it's down to the setup of the page.
Cute.
That's what I tend to do. Probably get a slap on the wrist at some point in the future. No more questions? Okay, well, thanks very much, Tara and Lydia. As we'll sort out between us how we get the presentation out to you. I'll probably get them to send it to me, and I'll email it out to everybody. As in the past, the recording will be available on the website as well, where people booked. But thanks very much for giving up your time. When I send out the information, I'll include their email addresses, so you or a relevant email address for them, so that you can get in touch, and if you have any particular queries that you have, then you can get them answered, and in future, if you feel they can be of assistance, you'll know where to get in touch with them. Okay, so if that's it, then I will stop recording. How do I do that? How do I stop recording? Do I just leave? Stop recording. There we go. Okay.